Welcome to another talk from the talk machine. Sometimes wherever I go, it's like somebody presses a button and then I have to give a talk. But you see that complaining doesn't help, so you enjoy your bus journey, understanding it's totally out of control, which means that it goes quite smoothly. And when you're having a lovely time, enjoyable time, wonderful. When you're having a difficult time, wonderful. You might as well, because there was a little simile when somebody got some really nice meditation, had a wonderful day, and then they asked, the next time it was terrible, it was back to square one again. And that's where I gave them the simile of the person who migrated to Australia from a very poor country. And even though they were highly qualified in their home country, when they came to Australia, they just could not get sort of the same qualifications, so they had to start from scratch again. And so he had to get whatever jobs he could find. So he got a job in a building site. And he worked so hard all day Monday. At the end of the day, when he went home, his wife asked him, "How much did you earn today, darling?" He said, "Nothing." But he went there the next day, same, worked really hard, still didn't get paid. And on Wednesday, 3 days of hard work, he didn't make any money. So he said, "I'm not going again. They just exploit migrants here in Australia." He said, "Oh, wife, go ahead, go on another day, who knows?" And so he worked really hard on Thursday, and again, he never got paid a cent. So he said, "I'm having enough of this. This is just exploitation. It's really unfair." But he really had nothing else to do on Friday, so he woke up in the morning, decided to give it one more chance. And on Friday, he didn't work that hard. He left work early like everybody else, and his boss gave him a big pay packet. And afterwards he went home and a big smile on his face and said to his wife, "Darling, I've now figured out how it works in Australia. From now on, I'm only going to go to work on Friday." And that is how people regard their meditation. They're only going to meditate when they get a pay packet. But of course, we all know you get the pay packet, the really wonderful day, the good meditation, because of all the work you put in. So if you haven't had a good meditation so far this retreat, don't worry, the check is in the mail, which is what they used to say. So we keep building up the momentum, and you find that. As long as you can make peace, be kind, be gentle with whatever you're experiencing. You're building it. It really is checks in the mail. You're building up what I said on the first night, good, wholesome, skillful meditation karma. The law of karma is something which I've got total trust in, simply because of all the times I've been in monk and seen how it works. You do something good now, it's going to come back. And so what we mean by good meditation karma, I mentioned this before, you make peace, be kind, be gentle. That's good meditation karma, with whatever you're experiencing. I feel terrible. You make peace with it. You let go of control. Sometimes people ask, what's the difference between letting go and letting be? Seems a bit different, doesn't it? Letting go is actually doing something, throwing it away. Letting it be is just sitting here. Just what you let go of is your controlling, which is usually manifests as ill will or wanting something. You let go of the controlling, of the doing something, which means you let what's ever here just be. When you don't control, get rid of it, then that's called letting be. So you let go of controlling, so you can let this be. So that's the difference. It's exactly the same, but just from a different perspective. So that when you can't do anything, you sit down there and just be kind, care, And it reminded me I did promise, and I haven't done it yet, and I try and keep my promise, to tell about the anger-eating monster. Did I? No, I didn't tell the anger-eating monster story. It's one of the most important. Any psychologist, this is one of the ones which really works again and again and again and again. And it was a story adapted, from the Samyutta Nikaya. So, there was an empress, and she was away from her palace. Why? Because she was coming on a meditation retreat in Jhana Grove with you-know-who, with Ajahn Donut. That is my nickname, not Ajahn Brahm, Ajahn Donut. Somebody suggested that as a good nickname for me for 3 reasons. Number 1, a donut is round. A donut is sweet. And a donut is holy in the middle. So I thought that was a good nickname for me, Ajahn Donut. So anyway, the Empress came to a retreat. While she was away on a retreat, this monster, this demon, this ogre came into her palace. And this monster was so frightening, so scary, that all of the guards of security is supposed to look after the place. They went in the broom cupboard and hid. They went under the table. They went behind the big flower pots, anywhere so they could hide from this big, scary monster. So they were just too terrified to do their job. Just like that time when I was in Los Angeles and I was going to the airport to come back to Perth after giving some talks there. And I saw this police car scream up, past us. Now, go half into the sidewalk, and the doors fly open. First of all, I thought, they're trying to get me. And then they weren't looking at me though. They just had little submachine guns. This was serious stuff. Not just ordinary guns, it was submachine guns. It was an anti-terrorist squad, because there'd been a bomb threat in Los Angeles International Airport. It was only a sort of a hoax, a crazy person. But anyway, they took it seriously. They came out and they ran up the stairs. It was really exciting, like it was, put on as a show for me, so I could actually have, just my experience of Los Angeles. I saw a car chase. They closed the freeway while the police were chasing a car. My host, I said, thank you for organizing all this, because I saw a terrorist attack, not really a terrorist attack, and I saw a car chase. It's just because you don't watch movies, but that was just the best you could do. So thank you for organizing it for me. You can't go into Los Angeles without seeing that. So anyway, but the policemen, they jumped out of the car with their submachine guns and they ran up the stairs and only got halfway. They were panting. They were just so unfit. Even I could run up the stairs faster than that. And these were supposed to be the anti-terrorist squad in the Los Angeles Peace Force. It was a joke. I think their strategy was, if any terrorists saw them, they'd break down laughing, and that would immobilize them. They could just catch them. But anyway, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the monster. There's monster. This was even just worse than the LAPD. They just hid. They didn't even try. They were just so scared. That allowed the monster to go right into the throne room and sit on the emperor's throne. Imagine that. This big monster sit in the emperor's own throne. And at that was just going too far. So the security came out. And they shouted at them, "Get out of here. Who do you think you are? Get out. You don't belong here. If you don't get out now, you'll be in big trouble." And those few unkind words, those few threatening gestures or bad thoughts, that monster just grew an inch bigger. Bigger, uglier, smellier, and more frightening. And that really upset the guards, the ministers, the soldiers, the security. Get out of here, we warned you. But every unkind word, deed, or thought, the monster just grew bigger and bigger, more and more scary. And by the time the Empress had come back from the meditation retreat, just so peaceful, so nice and gentle, she saw this ugly old monster in her throne room, huge and so scary. It makes the alien, I think that's the scariest thing in the movies apparently, makes the alien look like a baby, like a teddy bear. It's so absolutely scary. And I often say, this is the best simile, that the stench coming off this monster was so gross. You never smelled anything like this before, that even the maggots crawling on the monster's skin threw up. Even they vomited. They barfed. The smell. Not even maggots could stand it. But the Empress, she was smart. That's why she got to be an Empress. And she took one look at the situation, knew exactly what to do. Welcome, monster. Thank you for coming to see me. Just like Ajahn Ganha tapped it on the head. Oh, that was very nice. Would you like something to drink? And the Empress, because she'd been well trained, she said, we've got Sri Lankan tea, double strength with condensed milk. And those few kind words. No, it was with sincere kindness. The monster shrank a little bit, got less ugly, less offensive. And all of the people who worked in the palace, they saw and realized their mistake. So they said, well, how about something to go with that? I'm not sure what nationality you are, monster. We've got some dim sum, if you like some dim sum. Or we've got some spaghetti. I don't know if you're Italian. Or fish and chips if you're from England. Do you want vegetarian food? And lactose-free, vegan, from free-range soybeans. And I just make it up as I go along as usual. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, they were just so kind to this monster. Every kind of act, the monster just shrank a little bit. And one of the guards, really smart, said, well, how about a pizza? Because in pizzas, number one, you can get them home delivered, and number two, you can get monster size. The monster. So they got a monster size pizza, and a few of the other sort of guards, soldiers, they thought, how can we be kind to this monster? So they gave it a foot massage. Now imagine how big a monster's feet are. So you have about the whole sort of company of soldiers, about 50 of them, all around the feet, a nice little squeeze here or push there. And that monster loved every moment. Have you ever had reflexology, foot massage? It says, just over here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, said the monster. Oh, that's nice. Oh, yeah. Thank you. They were so nice to the monster. Every kind act, kind word or kind thought, the monster kept on shrinking. And before the pizza arrived, he was so small that one more act of kindness and the monster vanished completely away. So the soldiers could eat the pizza. But what it meant was, why did it vanish that way? The Buddha gave that story. It's not quite the same as I said it. I do always add a little bit, even a little bit there. But the heart of it is the same as the Buddha said. The Buddha said we call those anger-eating monsters. Wonderful phrase, anger-eating monsters. You give them anger. Get out of here, you don't belong. I don't want you in here. Get out. And then they get worse. Bigger, uglier, more of a problem. And that's what happens. Have a bad meditation. I don't want this. I don't want to be tired. I don't want to be aching and paining. I don't want to be always wanting to go to sleep. All right, that's an anger-eating monster and you're feeding it. So instead, welcome, sloth and torpor. Thank you for coming to visit me. Welcome, aches and pains. It's part of life. So when you are kind to it, opening the door of your heart to whatever you're feeling, it's powerful. The monster grows an inch smaller, less ugly, less of a problem, less painful, when you give it kindness. It's not kindness. I'll be so kind to you. Why haven't you gone yet? I'm being kind to you. It's supposed to work. Get out. Kindness has to be real, 100%. Opening the door of my heart to this moment. Now, how that really works also, you find it out yourself. It means you can meditate any place, any time. It's work. Yeah, you don't get the paycheck yet, but you'll get the paycheck in the future for sure, because making peace, being kind, being gentle, is the second factor of the Eightfold Path. It's called right motivation, not right thought. It's where thought comes from. It's right intention, sometimes they call it, but I prefer right motivation, where all your actions come from. Actions of body, speech, even thoughts, all coming from letting go, making peace, being kind, being gentle. And if you can do that, it's only a matter of time. It has to happen. You're creating the causes for deep meditation to happen. So you're sitting here, I ache, but I'm making peace with this. It's hot, but I make peace. Other people are cold, so you can't please everybody in this room. So I always was suggesting that because meditation is really getting popular, why can't people make their own high-tech meditation cushions? These zafus, they've been around for hundreds of years. And can't we do better than that? So, high-tech meditation cushion with a remote control. So the remote control, if it needs to sort of lift up your butt, you press the button and it inflates and the butt goes up. If it's a bit imbalanced, you're leaning to one side, you can press on one side, just goes up to balance you. If the legs are a bit sore, they can press another button and it massages your leg, like those massage chairs. If you're too hot, you press another button and cool air comes from either side. If you let off wind, you fart, there's a deodorant comes out the other end to mask the smell. If you go sloth and torpor, another button and you have a cup of coffee comes out. Latte, short black, cappuccino, whatever you want. So you can drink it, so you overcome your sloth and torpor. High-tech meditation cushions. Why not? I don't know why people haven't done that. There's this fellow in Singapore, I don't know if any Singaporeans here know him, that he was a designer. He used to design dresses for Princess Diana. And his latest idea was actually Zimmer frames. Zimmer frames. Usually Zimmer frames are used for old people. And old people are usually much wealthier than young people. So he decided to create a line of designer Zimmer frames. When you're old, when you can afford it. Don't just an ordinary Zimmer frame. Get one with designer, Gucci Zimmer frame, or Versace, just jewel encrusted or whatever. I thought it was quite a neat idea. I don't know what he did with it. Designer Zimmer frames for the elderly who want to stand out from the crowd. Whatever, Anyway, just designer meditation cushions, I think might be a really good idea. But anyway, in the meantime, I don't know where I'm going with this one, but anyway, just making good karma in this moment, making peace, being kind, being gentle, it has to build up steam. And so another way of looking at that, again, I'm reinforcing something I said earlier, which takes me back to the anger-eating monster and how it disappears. If you give it bad karma, get out of fear, trying to force it out, it just makes it worse. You make peace, be kind, be gentle. Whatever problem you have gets less, 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 less. You learn from it. It's work. And that work eventually brings out a beautiful result. So, the other part of that, which I mentioned the first night, was the Emperor's Three Questions meditation. I've often mentioned that in my first book about the Emperor's Three Questions on how to live life. Now is the most important time. The one in front of you is the most important person in the world. And the most important thing to do is to care. Those three things. Now is the most important time. The one right in front of you is the most important person in the world. And the only thing to do is to care. That's how you communicate with people. That's how you relate to them. But then, it's a very brilliant story from Tolstoy. And why can't we use that for meditation? So, now is the only time you have, right now. Forget about what's happening later on this afternoon or this morning. Now is the only time you have. This is where you're alive, this moment. What's the most important meditation object? The one right in front of you right this moment. Sloth and torpor, tiredness, fantasies, whatever it is, fed upness, bleh, mess. If that's what you're experiencing right now, it is the most important thing in the world. Don't stigmatize it. Don't demean it. Respect your hindrance, your obstacle. Respect it. And then what to do with it? Care for it. Open the door of your heart, the old monster. If you care for it, respect whatever you're experiencing right now, what happens? Smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It diminishes. Just like the angry eating monster. And so it's such a beautiful way, which means any place, any time, any situation, you're healthy, you're sick, you're tired, whatever it is, you can always meditate. Meditate is not watching the breath, not doing vipassana, not sort of blissing out in jhanas. That's the effect of meditation, that's the result. But actually what the work is, the jhana is like the pay packet. But the actual work you do, if you want to call it work, is learning how to be in the present moment. Now it's the only time you have, the most important time. Whatever you're aware of, whatever it is, respect it. Give it importance. Don't try and get rid of it. Don't think it's a second-class meditation object. And the next thing to do is to be caring for it. Be kind to it. And then you find it just, things go amazingly well. You meditate anytime. Why do they go well? Because it's good meditation karma. The paycheck will have to come. It's inevitable. So this is actually how we really meditate. Now's the only time. The thing in front of you is really important. Care for it. If you try to get rid of stuff, trying to get something you think is better and more important and much better meditation, then you always find, oh, I did it wrong again, I'm really hopeless, I can't meditate because I can't get jhanas, and Ajahn Brahm says, it's really nice these jhanas, and I've come all this way from overseas to get a jhana, and it's just hopeless, and I can't do this, what a waste of time and money. Sounds good, but it's impossible. You haven't really understood the path. Now's the only time. Whatever's right in front of you right now, most important thing in the whole world. So don't judge it, don't demean it, don't stigmatize it, and care for it. Even it's really great to see the change in people's attitudes to people who before we would call disabled, or sort of autistic, people who don't look like perfect human beings because they're missing something. And now people don't stigmatize them as they used to. You're allowed in, you're loved. We see the person, not the disability. Kind to people. Why? Because you see them right in front of you and they're important as they are. You care for them, you open the door of your heart to them, whoever they are. Now when I was a student, Uh, I was a Buddhist, as you all know, since I was about 16. When I was a student at university, I was, well, not the only Buddhist, but there's not that many Buddhists around. And I had a couple of friends who were Christians, and they would just hang out together. And they told me they were doing some social work. They'd volunteered to do some work on a Thursday afternoon in Fulbourn Hospital, which was the place where crazy students went when they sort of broke down for too much stress. But also, the other people, which people, they would institutionalize those days, hide them away. And so they were volunteering to do some occupational therapy work for people with Down syndrome. And I was just so embarrassed that the Christians were doing better than I was. So I thought, I don't want to go, but I better go. Just to stand up, to fly the flag for Buddhism. It's like just keeping up with the Joneses, that's what it was. The Christians could do it, the Buddhists could do it better. That's what I felt like in those days. I was young, stupid, proud, but if you can do it, I can do it. So I went there and I stayed there. Every Thursday afternoon for 2 years, I went there. And the Christians, they dropped out after about 2 or 3 weeks. But the reason I kept on going there was because I really enjoyed it. And I learned so much. So they were my friends, they were my mates. And it really surprised me just how, before we even knew the word emotionally intelligent, how emotionally intelligent those friends were. And this was a case I will never forget. Broken up with a girlfriend the night before, going there, walking, from the bus stop, it's maybe about 5 minutes walk to the little unit where the Down syndrome mates were living. And one of them saw me and came running towards me. There was a guy, and I was heterosexual. This was the time when, gay people would not be accepted at all. And so when this guy came up to me and gave me this huge hug, as a heterosexual man, it was like embarrassing. You weren't used to being hugged by a man. Pretty girl, fine. But there was something really beautiful in that. He obviously, said, "No, what's up?" He knew I was not as happy as I usually was. Something had upset me. He picked it up straight away. And I was just really stunned. How do you know that? My friends, you could hide any emotional disturbance amongst your friends, but these people, they read you just so easily. And it's because, they intellectually maybe just, they couldn't do quantum physics, but they could do much better than that. They could understand just your emotional needs and respond almost immediately. I was so impressed. And that's why I kept on going there, just to be able to learn. Not to serve, but to learn. Just, your emotional sensitivity, emotional intelligence. So that was really important part of the training. It also taught me you don't stigmatize people. There's no person in this world you can't learn from, you can't respect, you can't honor. Same as no mental state you can't choose as a meditation object. It's important. For some reason it's come here to teach you something. So you accept it. Sloth and torpor, ill will, whatever it is, please respect it. It's right in front of you. Learn from it, care for it, embrace it. And because you're making good karma with it, making peace, being kind, being gentle, or as Tolstoy said, being present, respecting it, giving it importance, and caring for it, you grow so much. You learn so much, whatever experience it happens to be. And what that means is, what do you mean you can't meditate? Anytime, any place, whatever's happening, you feel upset, be aware of that. Bring it into the present moment, give it importance, learn from it, and then you're making the causes for wisdom, peace, and bliss in the future. you soon get your paycheck. Has to happen. So, how does this, another way of looking at it, because I wanted to introduce this simile today. It's, you come here and there's so many different types of meditation, and you hear a little bit here. I don't say what you can read in books. Always give something a bit different, if I possibly can. There's only so much you can actually say. So some of you who listen to these talks on YouTube, it's a limit to what you can say already. I think we worked out there's more talks on YouTube by me than there are suttas in the Tipitaka. Honestly, you can work it out. Oh my goodness me. Because everything you say over years is just... So it's going to repeat itself. Even the Buddha repeated himself, okay? So sometimes somebody said, why do you always tell the same stories? And I said, because you keep on asking the same questions. fair, wasn't it? But anyway, you just keep making the same mistakes. So that when you accept these things and just open the door of your heart to these things, it actually works. You can actually feel it working. And that's the most important part of this next simile. How do you know if you're going in the right direction or not? Yeah, I did say not to measure, but if you don't measure, you can actually feel things actually changing. So this was a simile again from my youth, when I was poor, but I also liked solitude. So, I'd get a job anywhere you possibly could, and then afterwards got enough money, not much, then, get up and to the northern highlands of Scotland. It was the nearest wilderness. And I, just learn how to a very cheap tent, and learn how to sort of get enough food to keep going, and just look for solitude in the highlands of Scotland. We'll camp out there for days. And so anyway, on this occasion, the summertime was absolutely beautiful. On this occasion, you checked into a youth hostel just to get a proper shower, to get some more supplies before you went off into solitude again. So this time, I was in the youth hostel on a beautiful day, and the warden of the hostel said, let's go and walk up the mountain, not far away. I said, oh yeah, I'm in for that. So we walked up to the mountain, really beautiful, clear, cloudless day. And at the top of the mountain, we sat down, enjoyed the view for a little while. And it's still really early in the morning, early during the day. I said, there's another mountain up there, let's go up that one. He said, no, 1 mountain a day is enough for me. And so he went back to the hostel, and I went up the second mountain by myself. And that's really dangerous to be by yourself in wilderness areas, especially before you had mobile phones, and if you got into trouble, you couldn't call anybody. And it was dangerous, because a beautiful, clear sky when I left, but when I got really close to the top of that mountain, the clouds came in from the Irish Sea. Irish Sea or the North Sea or somewhere. Well, that's the west coast of Scotland. And they came in so fast, and they descended. And just before I could really realize the danger, I was enveloped in very thick mist. The clouds had just come down so fast, and I literally could not see clearly my hand when it was at the end of my arm. It was really so thick. And I thought, just retrace your steps. This was when I realized that human beings have got no sense of direction at all. Maybe cats have sense of direction, animals, but not humans. Because I thought I was walking back the way I came. Later I found out it was actually totally the opposite direction. I was really 180% wrong, 180 degrees wrong. Because where I walked, I was walking as good, I was mindful enough, because I came up to a cliff, one more step and I wouldn't be here. This was that close to dying. Scared me. Because there was not that many cliffs there, but there was one cliff, and there was so thick mist. I just caught myself in time to stop, because you could hardly see. And that's where I found out when I looked at the map, so it was the only real cliff that size, and I'd gone 180 degrees in the opposite direction. So you're really scared. This was life-threatening. And I knew that sometimes those mists would last for days. So stuck on top of a mountain, very dangerous, no way of calling for help by yourself. Just tripping over a boulder, injuring, breaking your leg, that was like slow death. So, really scared, but then using insight. My science. Because I knew that water always goes downhill. So instead of retracing what I thought was my steps, I found a little brook, a little trickle of water, and followed that down. And resolved whichever way that water went, I would follow it. It went left, right, zigzagged, I would follow it. Because I knew it would take me down, down, down. Every step I followed that water, I'd be going lower down. And so, of course, the water met another bit of water, got a bit bigger, made a little bit of a stream. Sometimes there's a tiny waterfall, you had to go around to the bottom. I kept on walking that way until I got below the clouds. And when you were below the clouds, you could see exactly where you were. And that's how I escaped, what could have been quite dangerous. And I've used that for meditation or your spiritual life. How do you know if you're going in the correct direction? Ajahn Brahm's teachings are the best. Even Theravadas are the best, or Buddhists are the best, or spirituality is the best. Or how would you know? Because so many people say, I know, you don't. And that's so confusing. So what do? It's like being lost in the mist. So you find something which will take you in the correct direction. Like I found a stream of water, which I knew would take me in where I needed to go, which was down. And so you find something which is an indicator, like a peaceometer. What you're doing, is it making you more peaceful or more agitated? Doesn't matter what it is, who said it, is it making you more peaceful or more agitated? That's the sign. If it's making you more peaceful, it's going in the correct direction. If you get more tense, more upset, it's obviously the wrong direction. So turn around. So peace, stillness, a sense of being free, happy. And if you can't see that, your friends probably can when you go home. If you go back home and your partner, people who stay with you, even your boss at work says, you're worse than when you left on that retreat, then it's been a waste of time for you. But if you are kinder, more peaceful, more sensitive, just more relaxed, then obviously you've been going in the right direction. Sometimes you can't see it, other people can't. Or like at a range retreat a couple of years ago, there was a gentleman, and he was, he's getting nowhere in his meditation. It's just a waste of time. He wants to go home. I said, don't go home today. It takes you a while to book your tickets anyway. But I need something. I just made it up. Find something. You can always find something you want, but you don't really want it. So I said, we need to get that from the shopping centre. Could you go to the shopping centre and pick this up for me? I said, oh yeah, I'll do that for you. It was a skillful means. It was a trick. I didn't really need it. I can get somebody else to get it, but I wanted him to go into a shopping centre. So he went to the shopping. When he came back, he said, it's crazy in there, Ajahn Brahm. It's madness in there. He said, yeah, now you can see how much you've advanced. Oh yeah, that's true. Because he used to almost live in the shopping centres before he came on the retreat. And he never actually saw just how he'd calmed down and developed. He never had anything to compare himself with. But once he actually saw what it was like in the world which he'd emerged from, then he realized how much progress he had made. Not looking for progress, but he had changed. So sometimes we do get lost in mist, sometimes mist of doubts, sometimes self-doubt. We don't think we're good enough. And that's one of the greatest things to convince you that you are good enough. If I can achieve that much as a teacher, that, yes, you can get nimittas and jhanas, that's an amazing, amazing result. Overcome that self-doubt. And of course, it happens. You do, which is wonderful. So that's actually how you overcome those little doubts. You find something which you can trust. The feeling of peace. You can feel that. Even your health, you feel really relaxed. Little things like you can sleep well. You lay down at night and you know how to let go of all the problems of the day and you go fast asleep. Isn't that a wonderful thing to learn? Forget about nimittas and enlightenment. They'll come afterwards. Just have a really good night's sleep, relaxing, being able to not feel guilty about sleeping in. What a wonderful thing that is. Not having to sort of worry what other people think of you. Not being tense. What a wonderful thing that is. That's a great sign that you're getting somewhere. You're getting some paychecks. And so little by little, then you go below the mist, and that's actually, you can see exactly how things all work out. For those of you who know your Buddhism, that's my simile for being a stream winner. You're below the mist. Now you can see exactly how it all works out. You know where to go. No dangers anymore. You've overcome doubt. So that's a nice little simile. How do you get to be a stream winner? You have to follow your nose and say, what makes it more peaceful, more still, more calm, and more happy as well? Because happiness is also part of the path. How much loving kindness. Remember what I said about the peace, the wisdom, and the metta? Samatta, vipassana, and metta the dog, because they all go together up Meditation Mountain. If you're really still got incredible insight, but a pain in the butt to other people, always telling them off and really sort of not very nice to live with, that can't be enlightened. No way. So be really kind and peaceful and nice and forgiving and gentle. That's obviously in the right direction. So that's actually how we use insight to guide our path. We use insight into how to overcome our problems, how to understand what this path is, how to know what works and what doesn't work. The feelings in the body, making peace, being kind, being gentle, and the body just really relaxes. Making peace, being kind, being gentle with the past. How do you forgive the past? Just like the anger-eating monster, you don't say, get out of here, you don't belong, past. That makes it worse. So what do? The past. All the terrible things which someone did to you. All the terrible things which you did. Thank you. Welcome, monster of the past, for visiting me. Thank you so much. So you welcome the past. You're kind to it. You appreciate it. Thank you so much. I've learned so much. Thank you, that guy who stole my girlfriend away. Thank you so much. I learned so much from that. Thank you. Whatever happens in your life, thank you so much. You're being kind, giving importance to all the experiences of your life. You're not trying to get rid of them. You're being kind to them. They get so soft, like the anger-eating monster. All that pain of the... You don't need to do a forgiveness ceremony. You don't need revenge. You actually thank the past and all its actors for teaching. It's painful. And suddenly think, isn't there another way to learn? Well, who knows, but that's the one which you got, so make the most of it. And that means you soften the past and it becomes so peaceful. It vanishes. The anger-eating monster. That's how you transcend the past. Whatever happened to you? And when you learn how to transcend the past, well, if I can let go of the past, I can let go of the future as well. Okay, 8:46. Okay, this works. And the story I tell now is an amazing story. It's a gross story, but it's amazing. Just shows you how the anger-eating monster story and how it all fits in, open the door of your heart, works in the most extreme cases. Because some years ago, I was invited by some psychologists who always come over to the Dhammaloka Centre on a Friday night and said, can you please come and visit our centre? What's your centre? And it was called ASSETS, Australian Society of Survivors of Torture and Trauma. And of course I went. And this was a place where people who are refugees, asylum seekers, who managed to escape the rapists, the almost murderers, beat you up really badly to the almost you wonder how people can survive, abused, tortured. They managed to find physical freedom in a country like Australia. But they're still not free yet. Physically they're free. But emotionally, they're still in those cages, being brutally raped and beaten and tortured. And this is a group which frees them, which takes people with these incredible traumas and brings them out. And the reason they invited me there was I was so honoured that it was a couple of my strategies were the ones which were working. And even recently, about a year ago, one of the doctors over here in Perth, it was the doctor who I developed that story, it's better to care than to cure. I went to his house for a little teaching and blessing, and his wife, she works there. And I said, are you still using that? He said, yeah, that's one of our key strategies. And it was a strategy of like open the door of your heart. Not trying to get rid of that memory of torture and multiple rape. Not trying to get rid of it, but doing this other little method. And this was how it worked. You know, when their client, for want of a better word, when they felt they were ready for this, when they felt safe, supported, they would sort of close their eyes and they would picture in the center of their chest a heart. And it was like a Valentine's Day heart, not sort of a real heart, which doctors might know, because actually it's a bit complicated. The Valentine's Day heart, like the hearts you see on a pack of playing cards, that sort of one. You imagine that, visualize it as best you can. And then you imagine two big doors, like the entrance to this meditation hall. Two big doors on your heart. And you open them up. And there inside is the part of you which you're comfortable with. The one which you are proud of, happy with, which is not causing you any problems. The happy part of you. The pleasant one, the acceptable part of you. That's already inside. And you look down on the floor, outside, rejected, despised, feared. It's those parts of you which are hard even to look at, to remember, which you're scared of. The little girl who trusted but was meaninglessly raped. The man who was put in an underground cell and beaten, screaming for mercy, beaten again, tortured, thinking you would never survive, the endless hopelessness of it all. All those people you remember are you, but you've kept outside, rejected. And then you imagine this staircase going out from your heart down to the bottom, where all those parts of you, your history, is all outside. And with this incredible act of trust and love, you invite all those rejected yous to come up. The little boy who was abused, so afraid, so hurt, so cold. Invite them to come up. And you imagine it fully, imagine them coming up those stairs, terrified. But you keep encouraging them until they come up to the top stair, and the part of you which has been inside for a long time embraces and unites with a part of you you've been terrified of. You embrace. Come in. The door of my heart is open to you as well. And every part of your past which you have been afraid of, rejected, all comes inside. It's amazing how well that works. You see people, the example I give was after Friday night talk in Dhammaloka. I think I was mentioning something like that, and there was one of these victims of torture, of rape. It's incredible what people do to one another. Meaningless. But anyway, that happens. And one of these women who'd been through it, she just happened to be telling a young man about what she'd been through. And she wasn't scared of the experience. But she told him, and he remarked, he said, "That was terrible what you've been through." And I was supposed to be talking to somebody else, but I was half listening to her divided mindfulness, but in that case it was actually quite useful. And then she told him, she screwed up her face and said, "What do you mean? That was a terrible thing which happened to me." She said, "That's made me who I am. That's who I am." And she was at peace with it. And at that I realized that woman she'd resolved the issue for herself. No longer denying it, no longer looking at it as a stigma, something she should hide. No longer thinking that all trees have to be without damage, but the most beautiful trees are the twisted, bent, crooked ones. That was how she dealt with her past. And I mention that here, not to impress you, but just to say that if that can be done with people who've been through such hell, that's how you let go of whatever's happened to you in your past. Not by trying to get rid of it, forget it, obliterate it, but welcoming it. It's a monster. Welcome. And every time you're kind to it, it gets tinier and tinier and tinier. Problem gets solved that way. That's how you let go of the past. By being kind to it. Not by being afraid of it, not by being negative to it, by being kind. Making peace, being kind, being gentle. Straight down the line, second factor of the Eightfold Path. I often call that one of the most powerful factors of the Eightfold Path. One of the most neglected, but crucial. Crucial to so much things in meditation in life. So, If you've got still some problems from the past, they're not problems. Welcome them. Thank you for visiting me. You get so kind to them, they're gone. Where did they go? So that's how you let go of the past. If you can do that with the past, it's so easy to let go of the future. Who knows what happens? You can deal with anything now. So that is how we get into this present moment. And you can try that. And you know it works. You can feel yourself getting more peaceful, more free, more at ease with your past, with your future, with your present. That is the path. You can feel it happening. That's how we meditate. So simple. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. So have a wonderful morning.